Different shirt, same
Yeah,
design.
exactly, exactly. And you can see through me here. Hey, true believers and fellow film fans, we're going to talk about summer movies, me and Dalton. And it might take a while. It might take a while. I should have pulled up some visual. So, hey, here's the poster. Like you don't know what Barbie's movie poster looks like or anything.
Visual aid, yeah.
Yeah. Also, along with us talking about our favorite and least favorite films of the summer, I, at the beginning of the summer, picked out 10 films, my top 10 movies, what were going to be the big box office hits. And frankly,
I think everybody was mistaken.
Everybody at least missed one. Sound of Freedom. Nobody saw Sound of Freedom coming. You can say, oh, well, I had this or I had that. That's fine. You want to tell me that you thought Barbie was going to be a hit? Okay, I get it. But I doubt anybody thought it was going to be $1 billion.
Most people on our wing of things were probably expecting it to perform along the lines of your average SJW movie for, that's basically what it was. But it cracked the code.
Two movies had very different lead-ups before they opened. The Flash comes out, and before it opens, oh, greatest superhero film ever. Oh, my gosh, this is great. Wonderful. I can't wait to see it. Everybody's saying it's a great mother movie. And then we're doing top 10, Ahsoka. But we're doing top 10 worst and top 10 best. But when The Flash comes out, the hype was so high, and then it bombs. One of the worst things, and I want to talk about this a little bit, is there were bombs that wouldn't have been had they reined in their budget a bit. Like Indiana Jones, I think that one's going to end up, it's at least going to, I think, break even. Same as Blue Beetle.
If only just, yeah.
Well, because there's a secondary market, and there's toys, there's DVDs, there's stuff like this. Even though not a lot of people would say Indiana Jones was the best of the series or, the summer even, it will get lumped in with that. So when you sell from here on in, when Indiana Jones is sold, it's going to be sold in a box set that just so happens to have this movie. So I think they're going to find money in the aftermarket. It used to be DVDs. That now, of course, with streaming services, it's much less. But it used
almost nobody has physical media anymore. I do because
I think I've seen this is a good topic. We'll talk about some other time. But I've seen a turnaround on this. People are realizing, since these streamers are like, I really don't like the fact that Gone with the Wind has slaves in it. We're going to take away Gone with the Wind. What? That kind of thing. So there are some movies that bombed. Blue Beetle's one of them. I think will do better because it only has $100 million to make up. You could do that.
It's doing surprisingly well, actually, in terms of the fall from week to week. I expected it to basically do a Flash, and it didn't. It stuck around a bit.
It's got legs in the sense of it's holding, but unfortunately, it started at 25 million, and so,
which is nothing.
It dropped 40%.
Well, I mean, relative,
and then it dropped 30%, and then it dropped 10%. It's actually pretty good in its drops, but it started at 25 million, so it's got a ladder to climb. What we're going to do is we're going to go 10 and 10. Then do you want to just go down the lists? We'll just go down the list. This is going to be a long ass stream, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Ant-Man Quantumania didn't make a break even, but Ant-Man Quantumania was popular, and that's what I'm talking about. You bring up the Little Mermaid, Ahsoka. Little Mermaid should have broken even. Its budget was way too much. And one thing I've got to defend. Okay, I'm sorry. Go on ahead because I'm about to go on a little bit of a rant.
Well, and yeah, the other factor is, and I will harp on this point till the day I die. It's not even necessarily the size of the budget. It's the budget didn't make it on screen.
Well,
like half the budget made on screen, and that's the big problem though. If you want something to perform like $1 billion movie, you got to make sure that as much of that budget as you can manage makes it onto the screen and looks good. If it doesn't, then
the problem
you're gonna
with a lot of these movies is they were made during the COVID, and they had to make certain
cut corners.
Well, not even cut corners. Unfortunately, they had to make concessions to what the people were saying we needed to do, and that actually ballooned a lot of budgets. So that did happen. Okay, so this is I've got the top 10 on the computer here. I've got the box office opened to the movies 2023. Let me see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. In the number 10 spot and this is box office, is Transformers: Rise of the Beast. And then number 9 is Elemental. Number 8 is Mission Impossible. Number 7 is Little Mermaid. Number 6 is Spider-Man. Number 5 is Fast X. Number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy. And then Oppenheimer, Super Mario's, and Barbie. Now, I thought that Sound of Freedom made it. But if you put it into domestic, it did. I was doing worldwide. Domestic, on the other hand, is a different thing. When you do that,
a different color.
Yeah, when you do just domestic, you've got Barbie, Super Mario Brothers, Spider-Man, Guardians, Oppenheimer, Little Mermaid, Sound of Freedom, Indiana Jones, Mission Impossible, and Transformers. So whichever one you think I should go by, worldwide or domestic?
Probably worldwide.
Okay. Then I did better than what I thought. All righty. So here, once again, let me read off the movies. Barbie, Oppenheimer, Guardians of the Galaxy, Fast X, Spider-Man, Little Mermaid, Mission Impossible, Elementals, and Transformers. This is from number 10. By the way, I missed Barbie. I thought I had Barbie on this. I didn't. My number 10 movie was Transformers. My number 9 was Oppenheimer. Here's a mistake. I had Haunted Mansion on here. Okay, laugh at me if you will. Here's my thoughts. Haunted Mansion is a family film in August. It has a clear field until school's in. There was nothing getting in Haunted Mansion's way for family movies. How did I know Barbie was going to come out and be Barbie? Because Barbie ate it really ate the box office up.
Here's the other problem. They released it in freaking August instead of October.
I saw Haunted Mansion and I thought that it should have been. This is the kind of movie that would be fun and just scary enough for kids, And I thought, oh man, they made a mistake. So I had Haunted Mansion at number 8. My number 7 was Elementals. My number 6 was The Flash. Oops. My number 5 was Mission Impossible. My number 4 was Spider-Verse. My number 3 was the Fast X. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy. And my number 1 movie would have been Little Mermaid. That's what I put as my number 1. So I missed on the Haunted Mansion, I missed on the Flash, and I missed on Barbie. So those are the 3 I got. But as far as it goes, only 2 are on here that shouldn't be. So basically 8 out of 10. I didn't do too poorly, ladies and gentlemen, as far as having them on here. Little Guardians of the Galaxy is up close to where it was. Little Mermaid, obviously not. Little Mermaid, surprisingly enough, talking about this film, it is a case of the budget, but a lot of people went after that film when it didn't go after Fast X, and both of them did exactly the same thing. Fast X didn't do shit in America. It's China. China did everything for Fast X.
As China usually does for those movies.
But you take Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid had a pretty decent domestic run, but China
it died foreign. Yeah, it died.
It didn't do anything for them. Yeah. So, but the thing is even though both of them were doing the same thing box office wise, Little Mermaid got all the shit for it.
I think because most people are content with that the Fast movies mostly do their business in China and Europe and don't really do much domestic, whereas Little Mermaid is in the same camp as things like Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King and Aladdin, which have all managed to well and truly cross the $1 billion mark. So everyone was like, okay, if this is a multi-billion-dollar franchise at this point, so what's the major malfunction? And of course, one of those major malfunctions is outside of America, that race swap really nerfed them in the harshest of ways.
Well, I think that's really why it got a lot of crap, because what ended up happening was, this is a message movie, and it's not a movie with a message. They made the movie as the message. And anybody who didn't like the race swap, oh, you're so racist, there's one of my favorite memes was this little black girl who watches the trailer for Little Mermaid, goes, "That's not the Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid's white."
Exactly. Which, by the way, we were not in that camp. We had been saying pretty much since the movie got announced that the kiss of death for us was going to be Melissa McCarthy butchering Ursula. And when you go read and know it, not only did she not butcher Ursula, she delivered the best performance.
She did a very good job in that.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
In our defense, I've never seen Melissa McCarthy actually act before. Like, she always plays some version of her very annoying, over-the-top character in every movie she's in. So I was absolutely blindsided in the best possible way, because I was dreading listening to Melissa McCarthy in her high-pitched Southern voice there.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Butcher the thing. But no, she killed it.
She actually did it pretty good. Yeah. It ended up being number 19, because I listed all the movies. I have a top 20, but that ended up being number 19, nowhere near. So, do you want to start positive or negative?
Well,
do you have a top 10 worst?
Okay, we can.
Or do you just want to listen to mine and you can comment?
I assume we were doing them in separate videos, so I was gonna do best first.
Okay, let's do best, and we'll maybe we'll do that separate video thing. All right, so let's just go down the list. I'll start. You can start. What is your number 10 best film of the summer?
My number 10, and bear in mind, guys, I had to reach for a lot of these because I didn't watch 10 movies that I liked.
It's still in order.
But yeah, I did have to. So a lot of the lower part of my top 10 is going to be filled with movies that are just kind of okay. And in that vein, my number 10 is Barbie.
Okay. All
right. Because for two reasons. Despite the inarguable social justiceness of it all, it's a well-made movie. It's a colorful movie. The acting is good in it. The characters are enjoyable in terms of being positive and not miserable people. And yes, it ripped off things like Wreck-It Ralph and the Lego Movie, but that means it's using roughly the same template as Wreck-It Ralph and the Lego Movie, which is a terrible company to exactly be in. Now, is it?
Right.
Plus, reason number 2, it's here. It will probably also be on my worst list, but that this is the Schrodinger's-ness of this movie. The second reason why it's here is because if you can see it as Ken is the well-meaning but bumbling hero and Barbie is the villain who doesn't realize she's a villain, then it becomes a kind of based men's rights movie. Okay. And in that vein, it's actually okay. So
Ahsoka is saying about my father that I didn't even see. If it's funny, by all means. Now, Barbie is number 20 on my list, so it's not even near my top 10. I put it down.
Well, I also don't see quite as many movies as you do, to be fair.
Oh yeah. As far as summer movies are concerned, I think I saw like 50, maybe 60 films this year, and I'm counting across all platforms. We live in a different time. Usually I would just say at the theaters, but we live in a different time now where streaming, there's a lot of
is at least a third of the entire market.
Right. Yeah. But my number 10, we were talking a little bit about it earlier. Me and Gail went and saw this, and I was thoroughly entertained. I'm like, why is people not going to see these good movies? And that's The Haunted Mansion. Once again, I was talking about this a little earlier. This is the kind of movie I would have loved as a kid. This is the kind of movie they would release for us in the 1980s. It's got just enough scares. It trusts your children to be able to take it. There are some legitimate scares in Haunted Mansion. It's mostly a comedy. It's mostly a family film. But like with Something Wicked This Way Comes, it's not afraid to scare the out of a kid. Now, of course, an adult, we just blow it off and, it's okay. But the special effects are done very well. I liked the cast. They played very well together. And it reminded me of the movies I grew up with, because I'm sitting there going, at first I was like, why would kids really be interested in the lives of middle-aged people here? And then I remembered stuff like that's what Freaky Friday was. That's what The $1 Million Duck was. That's what my favorite dad, or, even Herbie the Love Bug back in the 1970s, the main characters were middle-aged people. So
yeah, they didn't ever bring children in, really.
Yeah, it was
main characters.
And I thought, wow, this really is an old-fashioned kind of really cool and fun and interesting, entertaining film. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to put this right here. My Haunted Mansion is my number 10. Before we move forward, though, I'm just going to, I'm just going to go down the list of my runner-ups. 20 was Barbie. 19 was Little Mermaid. Number 18 was No Hard Feelings, the Jennifer Lawrence comedy. A lot of fun. Jennifer Lawrence full frontal nude, beating the shit out of a whole bunch of teenagers. Okay, I'm with that. Transformers Rise of the Beast was my number 17. Then you have a movie about these two Asian kids called Joyride, where they go to China. They try to find their family. Fast X is number 15. That was just a bunch of fun. It really was. It's stupid as all get out. My number 14 is a smaller film called Maggie Moore's, about two small town murders where both women have the same name, and a horror film called Cobweb. Dude, see Cobweb. This movie, don't read about it. Just watch it. The less you know, the better it is. Number 12 was Flash, and number 11, Indiana Jones. So none of the big, I can't wait to see him flops neither of those ended up in my top 10. How about your number 9?
Before we move on from Haunted Mansion, though, I just wanted to, because I did actually see it. Mm-hmm. I didn't mind it. I didn't really have a strong feeling on it one way or the other. One thing I will say for it, especially with Owen Wilson being there, it kept reminding me of the remake of The Haunting. It was like Disney's remake of the.
Yeah, it's the Disney's The Haunting, right? Yeah, that's a good call on that. But the stuff where the ghosts follow him around, there was a couple of scenes where he's going through the mansion and stuff is changing as he's walking from room to room. I really thought they built up tension for a kid, and I was watching, and I think it helped that I was able to connect my childhood to this film.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 9. What you got?
My number 9 is Blue Beetle.
Hey, guess what? Mine too. All right,
Jinx?
Go on ahead. Yeah, mine. Yeah, Jinx. You're right.
Blue Beetle. Yeah, I liked it more than The Flash, which I know is unusual by Ang Lee standards, because he really liked The Flash more than I did.
But not as much as I did Blue Beetle.
But Blue Beetle, yes, it's derivative of Ant-Man and Iron Man, and it basically is that, but with Hispanics stuck in the middle of it. But George Lopez is still freaking funny in the movie, and my generation, I think, grew up with Jaime Reyes, so it was honestly just good to see a version of him in this movie. Now, granted, was it anything to write home about sort of movie? No, but if this movie came out like 5 years ago, it would have made at least 500 million. And the only reason it didn't is because DC constantly nerfs themselves and refuses to read the room. But that's neither here nor there. Just based on the quality of the movie, it was pretty good. It's nowhere near as good as Black Adam, not as good as Shazam! Fury of the Gods, in my opinion. But then again, I like weird mystical things.
I actually watched Fury of the Gods recently. I would put Blue Beetle over that one, but Black Adam has the Justice Society.
I know, it's like I need this. I need so much of this in my life. But
my take on the Blue Beetle is it is exactly the kind of movie we claim we want to see. This is pure fun. The line about Batman's fascist shouldn't have been in the preview. It hurt. And considering the first line, the first word out of George Lopez's mouth makes you go, oh, okay, he's that guy. And it completely takes the power away from Batman's a fascist. It really does.
But they chose to market it with that. And that's, well, we all saw what happened.
It was a horrible idea. I mean, I was in on it too. I was like, what the really? This is what you need? You need to break somebody down. You know, I did the whole 9 yards as well. But what we ended up getting was just pure fun. This was not a movie with a message. This wasn't a movie that was trying to slap you in the face with Hollywoodisms. The director did more damage to this film's, I think, box office. Because he was it's all about the Latinos. It's all about this. It's all about identity politics. So if you're not this group, you're not going to get as much out of it. Bullshit. It's about family. All he needed to say. It was about family, not like Fast X. Oh, it's all about family. But no, really, the family played an integral part in the film. And
they were a likable cast of characters as well.
Really everybody, no matter what color you are, can relate to this film because really it was about the relationship between a kid and his family. He just so happened to have a suit of armor, and they really did this movie poor, letting that director run around saying what he said and with the trailers. It was done wrong. But
that's the conventional wisdom in Hollywood. The conventional wisdom is we have to moralize, we have to social justicize everything, and so
Ahsoka. And by the way, if you're listening in, our audience doubled. By the way, we're up to 4. But if you're listening in, please feel free to comment on what we're saying and let us know what your top 10 movies of the summer were. Ahsoka is saying The Blackening. This is another one. I wanted to see this. I actually did. I have not yet had the chance. The thing with The Blackening, of course, it was like, well, y'all can't die first. That is such a misnomer. If you really look at horror films of the past, a lot of times there were no black people in them, much less the black guy dies first. In the more famous ones, where you have, let's say, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, the black guy survives to the end. Jason, I think it was 5. Yeah, there's a black guy who dies, but it's in the middle of the film after Jason's already slaughtered a whole bunch of people. It is so false that the black guy dies first.
It's always, to use the modern cringy parlance, the privileged people who are effing in the middle of a place they shouldn't be effing that go first.
This has been around forever and a day, but it's funny to say, but it actually never happened. Well, I can't say never, but it truly does not happen that often. All right, let's move on to number 8. Your eighth favorite film of the year.
Summer.
We're
not doing year yet, or else Pope's Exorcist would be in here somewhere, because God, that movie is amazing.
Except for the end. but yeah, go ahead. You're number 8.
But in any case, Gran Turismo is next.
Didn't see it, so it's all you, dude.
Video game movies are just having a moment. It seems like they are roughly where the comic book genre was in the year 2000 at this point. I don't have any history with the Gran Turismo games, and it was kind of weird that they were making this movie based on the game exists in the universe of the movie instead of setting the movie in the universe of the game.
Last Starfire, right? I mean, he's good at the game, so they make him a racer.
Well, yeah, that or something that I grew up with that no one is going to know. But Aaron Stone was a similar thing where a character was a hero, was a superhero in a video game, and so they trained him up to become a real superhero. But yeah, as far as it goes, this is and I don't even like sport movies or racing movies all that much. But as far as it goes, this was a really good version of a movie that I, under normal circumstances, probably wouldn't like, that I ended up liking more than I thought I would, and that always deserves kudos. Also, Neil Blomkamp, someone give him a major franchise for the love of all the things, please, because the man needs a break, in he needs his break into Hollywood.
My wife said that since she met me, she has seen films she never would have thought of watching, because I'll watch. To me, the criteria for watching a movie in 2023, it has to have been released in 2023. I honestly, that's what it. Granted, with streaming services, I won't stay on a bad movie like I used to. I used to just watch half of it or more. Otherwise, now I'll be like, nope, out. I'm looking on my worst list. Is there a film that I did? Yeah, there is a film called Blood and Gold that I did that with. I watched 20 minutes of it, and I'm 53. A year to me is less. It means more than a year to you. I'm not wasting my time watching shit anymore. I'll identify it as shit and we'll move on. However, I'm moving on to my number 8. And I don't know if you saw this film. It got a limited release I think it was in May. And it's one of those, it's about something, a thing movie. You know, we had Flaming Hot Cheetos, Air for Air Jordans, beanies, the Beanie Bubble for the Beanie Babies. And this one is, I will be amazed if this movie isn't somewhere in my top 20 at the end of the year. It's called Blackberry. And it is all about the creation of, and then the business after the Blackberry. And it is such a fascinating story. Jay Barenthal plays the guy who invented it. And he's got a friend, who connects him to a business guy, and it's just so interesting and so cool how this thing came together. And of course, he was very much, oh no, that's not going to work. See, because if they do this, and this, then it's going to fall apart, and you're going to need to replace it every year, yada yada. So the BlackBerry is still the best, and he's saying this about the iPhone. So you can actually see, because BlackBerry was very popular for about 5 years before the iPhone came.
Yeah, the Crackberry era.
So you do get the rise and the fall. Jay Barenthal, they're not going to nominate him, and that will be a freaking crime.
Wait, Jay Barenthal, as in the kid from Sorcerer's Apprentice, Jane Barenthal?
Yeah, he plays the dude who invents the BlackBerry. If you see pictures, by the way, it's like, wow, he really does look like the guy. I was really entertained by this movie. I'm like this though. I do have the big ones up at the top, but there are a couple of films here that are smaller. I'm going to be talking about. This is really good. I recommend it. Give it a shot there, Dalton. I think I would like to do at least one video where we talk about the Flaming Hot Cheetos, the Beanie Bubble, and Air Jordans and all that. Just, it's a weird thing. They're making.
Well, I mean, the founder also for McDonald's a couple of years ago, and probably my favorite of the entire genre because it's a really, really great movie, and it's by, I believe, David Fincher, The Social Network.
Yeah, but I was actually talking about what came out now. But yeah, if you want to throw that in, I'm okay with it. What is your number 7?
that would be The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Oh, I missed that. Gail loves horror films, and she's had back trouble, and our mattress is a little too rough for her, so she's been sleeping on the couch. And every time I'm like,
so don't you dare watch a horror movie without me, sort of situation.
Oh yeah, and we wanted to go see it in the theaters, but it only lasted 2 days in the theaters, so I was like, oh no. So I'm like, okay, yo ho, and I come on up, Gail. At least watch the movie and then go back down, you know. But yeah, I haven't seen that, and I haven't seen the what was it, The Last of Us or whatever it is. Talk to me.
Yeah,
the one with
which you'll be seeing shortly, because that also made the list.
Okay, so anywho, talk about the vampire movie,
the Last Voyage of the Demeter. Now, as far as Dracula movies released this year goes, there's still a soft spot in my heart for Renfield, because Nicolas Cage's Dracula is awesome. But as a Dracula movie, that left a little bit to be desired, didn't it? So, and this one also, because it's like you're taking one chapter out of Bram Stoker's Dracula and you're devoting an entire movie to it, and it works. It works, although it did leave me with the sensation of, now, if only I could see the rest of Dracula done in this style.
I want to watch the 6-hour version of Dracula. Apparently, they've souped up. You've got the 2 hours that gets them onto the boat. Now let's see the 2 hours after. I can't wait to see it, dude. And the fact, if you really think about it, that voyage for the characters would have been months. So it makes sense that you can fit.
It does. It works. It almost reminds me of The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, because with obviously Dracula standing in for The Thing, because they didn't really do the gentleman come hither, you know, they didn't do sexy, hypnotic, supernaturally powerful Dracula. They did Dracula as he's vampirically dehydrated and hungry, and he doesn't have a reason to care who you are or what you're doing. He's hungry.
He's a monster.
Which I wish they had gone the other way, because I really like Gentleman Dracula. Mm-hmm. But again, it reminds me a little bit of The Thing, of like, you don't know where the monster is. All you know is that they're on board, and that they could be, you know, anyone. And of course, you know, when Dracula bites people, he takes them over sometimes anyway. So there's that too.
We're on 8, Ahsoka. Sorry.
And number 8. And as far as like atmosphere, it very much is a bottle movie of like, you're stuck on the ship. Mm-hmm. Something is very mysteriously making people vanish off of the ship. People you knew yesterday are not going to be here today. And nobody really figures it out. And of course, by the time they figure it out, well, then Dracula's getting his mojo back, and oops,
Ahsoka. Actually, we're on number 7. We did 8. I apologize for interrupting there again. I can't wait to see this movie. This is one of my most anticipated films. I like that kind of thing. I like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
Oh God, that movie! I love that movie. That movie,
which is basically the same kind of film. You know, it takes a couple of lines out of Hamlet and they make an entire movie out of it. So you get that, and you're like, okay, well, it's the rest of the story. Is, you know, I would like to see this.
That being said, I want the rest of this version of Dracula. I want to see this version get all suave and come hither and cool and what have you.
Yeah, we've got the Francis Ford Coppola, awesome Gary Oldman Dracula. Now let's see the monster come. I like that. My number 7. Ask me what it's about.
Okay, what is it about?
No. I have no honest clue about what this film is about. I do know that I love the characters. I like the script. The look of the film was awesome. There were so many entertaining elements in this. I rode this train all the way into Asteroid City, my number 7 film of the summer. That being said, the setup for this film is, it's a play that it's a table reading and it's played out for you rather than as a movie, rather than they're sitting around a table, and then it's a play on stage. And it is so weird because they do go between that they go behind the scenes, and they treat the narrative story as a narrative story. And it tells the story of how people got cast, and it tells the story of them making the script. Where should the characters go? How should it do? It ended up going all over the place. My wife checked out in about 10 minutes. This is not a movie for the casual viewer. She is, in my opinion, the casual viewer. This is a film, in all honesty. Turn the phone off, turn the light off, sit down and enjoy. Once again, this is a Wes Anderson film, so it looks gorgeous. It really is just a beautiful movie to look at. Full frontal nude of Scarlett Johansson. Once again, gorgeous film. But it ended up just wowing me because of how weird it was. The breakdown and the mix-up of the story structure, the fact that we really were watching a play, and the characters, or the actors, had to play two characters: the actor that they played, and then the characters that those actors were playing. And it tells a really good story. And it's like, okay, what do you want to be real? What do you not want to be real? I think right now it's on Peacock. But yeah, dude, give it a chance. You give it the 10 minutes that my wife gave it before she checked out. Maybe
I kept seeing this advertised to me, and I didn't really know what to make of it. It seemed like something I might want to watch. I don't know where I would stand on it now, having heard your description of it, because sometimes those kind of deliberately hipstery avant-garde things can work for me, and sometimes the pretentiousness strangles me to death. But I don't know where this one is going to wind up. I'm gonna have to watch it to see.
I will tell you straight up, this is not going to be for everybody, but for those of you it does hit, I think it's going to hit well. Ahsoka put her number 8 and 7 in, and Fast X, which that is my number 15 film of the summer, and White Man Can't Jump, which I did not watch. But Ahsoka enjoyed it, saying it's a remake of 1992 film. It's on Hulu. Yep, White Man Can't Jump. Oh, I do know the movie. I watched it a long time ago. I was not too young for it. I was 22 at the time. But yeah, I enjoyed the original movie. I have not seen the remake so far, except for Fast X. Every film Ahsoka has liked, I have not yet seen. All right, how about you? Where would you go with your number 6?
That would be Talk to Me.
Okie dokie. Let me hear about it. It is non-spoilerly as spoilerly as you can.
It reminds me actually a little bit of Terrifier 2.
Really?
In that it's very much a very like independent movie, but it goes hard, man. It goes really hard. It's a very strange movie, but in the best sort of. I'm not exactly sure what the frick is happening, but I kind of like it. It also reminded me of basically what if like the Ouija movies were done better. Because you got this, you essentially got I believe it's a medium of something where she can, when you touch her, the spirit can talk to the person who touches her, and then someone, or rather no, it's the people that touch her wind up connected with someone they're connected to in the spirit world, and of course then the talking ensues, hence title. But someone touches her, and it awakens something that's a bit darker, and then shenanigans ensue, as you might imagine for a horror movie.
Now you're saying
Also,
it reminds you of the Terrifier, and the Terrifier 2 was in my top 20 of the year last year. It's just as you say, it goes hard. Terrifier 2 is also one of the most brutal films.
Oh yeah,
I've seen in a long time. So
it doesn't quite go that level of like over the top goriness.
Mm-hmm.
It goes more into the things are really freaking creepy route, and like I say, it's similar to a Ouija movie, except it goes a lot harder in sort of that direction of like, you know, a person who can channel spirits is, you know, essentially a human Ouija board. Well, open doors are an invitation to a lot of things, and well, shenanigans ensue.
Yeah. Before I get to my number 6, Ahsoka is saying Asteroid City is her number 6. Asteroid City is a good movie about a junior stargazing group. That's what the play is. It's part of it anyway. And it's good for what it is in the budget. It is an old-fashioned medium-sized budget, $50 million. And yeah, it did make its money back. And it's going to make more on the ancillary market as well. My number 6, however, was a bit of a controversial film. Some people were saying, oh, it's all fake. And some people were saying it's the greatest film of all time and you need to see it because it's the most important film of all time. I watched it and I thought, wow, that is kind of good. It's not as it doesn't make it to number 1 though, and that's The Sound of Freedom. The Sound of Freedom is a movie about these guys who go after sex trafficking, child sex trafficking, and it does. You talk about hitting hard. This really goes for the feels, and it works. I just had a good time with it. I like the fact that a movie like this made it big in the summertime, because it's very rare. It's not a sequel. It's not an IP. It came in and it did well. It's I'm trying to think of the Caviezel did such a great job. I like the fact that he is okay with putting his career on the line to tell these kind of stories. Mel Gibson told him basically that you do this, no one's going to hire you. So, you know, and he was speaking of A Passion of Christ when he did that. And he's just stuck on that path. And this is that kind of movie. This is the kind of movie that you wish it weren't true, but it is. And I don't want to say too much about it. You know, it's about a sex trafficking ring. It's a really, really good film. That's why it made my number 6. Jim Caviezel, thank you, Dark Admiral. And hello to Dominic. What's up? Ahsoka saying Sound of Freedom made it to her number 3. And once again, guys, feel free to count down with us. Right now, we're going to go and talk about Dalton's number 5 film of the summer.
Yeah, and I know I'm gonna get some kind of crap for this. Keep in mind, like I said, I didn't find many movies that I really over the top enjoyed.
What you like,
but I didn't hate the new TMNT.
Oh, really?
I didn't.
Get the off my. No, I'm serious.
I didn't love it like I loved the 2007 TMNT. That was a great movie. The show that I liked, but yeah, I didn't hate it. There were some things about it that that I didn't love, like the fact that they over focused on the teenager angle, and of course, yes, the blackening of April O'Neil, yada yada yada.
It's why make her fat and ugly? What point are you getting across?
Because beauty standards are harmful, MK, and we have to disabuse you of them. Yada yada yada. But
I watched it. Like I said, I made a list. My bad films, my good films, and the mids, and you can see it right there. TMNT in the mids. So, yeah. That's exactly how I thought about it. It was absolutely fine. A-okay.
That being said, there were obvious mistakes. This was just I I'm running out of things to put in the in the top 10 list, sort of thing. And then I compared it to the other ones, and I was like, well, I liked it a little better than that, and I liked it a little better than that. So, meh.
Okay. Yeah, I enjoyed it better than I thought I would, and it's in the mid. I agree completely. There's this thing they try to capture the Spider-Man aesthetic, and I think they just did ugly art as well. The whole thing, just wasn't pleasant to watch, which sucks because the story was fun to watch. And it's like what I think this new Sandman comic is going to be. It's going to be Robert Venditti writing up against Riley Rossmo art. What's going to win? I don't know. Ahsoka saying Insidious Red Door is her number 5. Another one I haven't seen because Gail won't come up and watch the horror films with me. Dark Admiral says, ahoy, I don't really have anything to add to the convo. I didn't see anything this summer. I caught Guardians of the Galaxy 3 on Disney Plus. I enjoyed it. The first is still my favorite. I can respect that. I watched both of them in order to get ready for number 3, and it's better number. I'll get to it.
Oh, which by the way, I guess I should say that Sound of Freedom actually managed to make it to my number 3. I didn't mention that when you were going over it. But
okay, well, yeah, if you wanted to jump in and say something, that would
right. It's an indie movie. It's an indie movie that was made. It's an indie movie that was made to please a particular audience and crowdfunded by that particular audience. And you know, whenever I see the media losing their crap over something like that, for the reasons that they listed, I was just like, I have to see this. Even if I don't like it, I have to see it. And of course, it's a really good take on a really, really, really sensitive subject. And it is something that I wish we could get a little more of. Instead of all of this,
for a living, you have to watch the stuff that everybody's talking about. That does happen. My number 5, however, this is the winner to me between that whole double feature Barbenheimer, Barbie. Beautiful film. Won't take that away. Well, like you said, watch it as a men's rights film. It's okay. But Oppenheimer was the hero of that particular double feature. Oppenheimer.
We're going to disagree heavily on this one.
Oppenheimer had a great freaking script. I hear a lot of complaints about how, it's just a lot of talking. Yes, but the conversations are so interesting. They're so... and this is a good thing to me because what the was Tenet? What the hell was that one with the dust bowl? And he goes into Interstellar was crap. Tenet was crap. I was losing trust in our boy here. And
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan. He brought it back with Oppenheimer. If you can film and you can make a movie where basically, and I'm not kidding, 99% of this movie is 98% of this movie is conversation. 2%, 1% is sex. The other percent is a big explosion. Otherwise, it's conversation. And if you can make a film, especially a 3-hour movie, interesting, that's dead on.
I see. Oppenheimer was going on my worst list. So
okay, we'll talk about your side of it if you want to give a couple of lines out there to debunk or. But otherwise, when we get to the worst, we could do that on Sunday if you're open.
Right. I don't mean to shit on your like of this movie or anything by any means.
You like what you like. I like what I like. It's.
But it probably doesn't surprise you to know that I don't like Oppenheimer though, because I have a long-standing beef with one Christopher Nolan. And this movie was yet another in the long list of things, or a exemplar of a long list of things that I don't like about Christopher Nolan, which is he gets so preoccupied with making a capital F film that he doesn't bother making a good movie.
I disagree with you on this, but there you go.
And
okay, no, go ahead, finish.
And I also... I dislike what Christopher Nolan has done to movie aesthetics, especially like dramatic movie aesthetics, because boring shouldn't be an aesthetic.
Okay, just remember though that if we do a worse stuff, don't blow the load yet. Okay, man, you got to save a little.
Right.
Bit
I guess I will leave it there. See the worst list for more expounded.
I disagree with
the
you.
worst list is going to be much easier for me.
My number
I think
5 is Oppenheimer. So yeah, and I'm standing by it. I'm standing by it. Also, you get to see the White Widow's boobies, and that's never a bad thing. Okay, so let me get some comments here, and let's see. I need to watch Sound of Freedom, says Dominic Powell. Number 4 for Ahsoka was Oppenheimer, so that's the next one up. And what was number 5 for you, though? Did I miss that? I thought I read it off. Number 5 is Insidious: The Red Door, another horror film. So I'm waiting for my wife. Once again, she her hips. You know, we're old. We're both a little overweight, and we bought a mattress from my back, and it hurts her hips, so she sometimes has to go sleep on our very comfy couch. So,
oh no,
yeah. But I'm like, come up and let's watch some scary movies. So we haven't seen Insidious, we haven't seen the last Demeter or whatever it's called, and a couple other horror films that I'm waiting to see. Dominic is saying I would put Oppenheimer as number 4 of the best movies of the year so far. I mean, legitimate. It's a good one that basically didn't do as good as it's an R-rated film released in August. It's a 3-hour. No, it did great. Ahsoka, 3 hours long means it gets at least 1, maybe 2 less showings than Barbie does. And for a while there, it was keeping up. Of course, Barbie. But to make $300 million worldwide being a 3-hour movie about people talking, it did freaking great.
Well, and let's also be fair that a large part of why it did quite so well as it did was because of the Barbenheimer effect. Everybody loves the meme.
Week 1, I give it to you. I will absolutely say, yeah, week 1 was Barbenheimer, absolutely. But afterwards, it was all Barbie, and they broke up and they went their own separate ways.
See, I don't think so, because every single week they drop in the same percentage range.
Because that's how it started. All righty. Number 5, Tevi, we're talking about the summer, not just of the year, just the summer. All right. What is where are we? Number 4.
That would be a movie called Nefarious.
Oh, I wanted to see that. Once again, another horror film.
Oh my God, this one is freaking amazing. And there is a scene at the end, which I will not spoil, but it's basically a demon explaining why they rebelled.
Yeah.
Best demon or devil character in a movie since freaking Pacino in Devil's Advocate.
Wow. Seriously. You know, this is made by the same company that does all those Mike Seaver religious films, right? Courageous and God's Not Dead or that kind of stuff. And I keep hearing good things about this horror film.
It's, again, dude, like, I didn't even notice it was a Pure Flix movie. That is how amazing it is. And there is a like I say, that one scene where the demon explains why demons rebel and why they don't like humanity. It justifies the movie's existence right then and there, thing. But the rest of the movie is also pretty good. And for it being a Pure Flix movie, I never expected. I guess they did do one other one that I really liked, which was the Noah movie done by Darren Aronofsky that I can't remember the name of.
Oh yeah, Noah. I think it was just called Noah.
It may well have been, but yeah, Nefarious. It's a psychological thriller, possession movie, and just everything. It's everything rolled into one. And the demon almost plays like a Hannibal Lecter style role in it, even while it's effectively body jumping throughout the whole thing.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to my number 4 here because I'm about to get fanboy. My number 4, I sat down and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of tired of the multiverse. Let's see it. And it's Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I know we talked about this a little bit. Still, the animation is incredible. This is the only place I like Miles Morales. He's got his own character here. It's entertaining. It didn't make me hate the Spider-Verse. I like the Spot in it. There was so much fun. And that's one of the things. This movie was just a lot of fun.
That's my number 2.
That's it. All righty. Well, I'll let you talk about it when we get to the number 2. But once again, though, to me, it's watching the background. It's watching the animation. It's not just the story itself. Everything on the screen. It's like every frame of pause. You want to look at it like it's a piece of art and check to see, okay, where's this background? Where's this back? And I learned that we should all stop saying pita bread because it's the same word. Hey, all right. But I thought it was fun. Thought it was funny, very entertaining, and definitely worthy of the number 4 spot. I liked it. What I did not like, I did not know it was a part 1 of 2. So I was like, well, okay. Now, I mean, that.
Now we're waiting.
Ending. There's no ending to this. If you're going to do this, end the movie and have a jump off point. There was a movie that came out that surprised us. If you watch, we're going to get to it. But if you watch Mission Impossible, it does that. It ends, the movie ends. There's just a subplot that moves through that's going to carry into the next film. So I thought that's the way to do it, not the way Spider-Man did it. So I really enjoyed it. I did think it fell apart especially now that it's all going to be pushed back. But anywho, that's my take on that. Let's see what others had for their number 4. Oppenheimer says Tevye, and we'll get to your number 3. And number 4 is also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay. Hey, both of them were pretty good. What about Mario movie? Mario was in the spring. We're doing summer films.
Yeah. If we were doing the year, I would have mentioned Pope's Exorcist by now because Pope's Exorcist was awesome.
At the end of the year, we're going to talk about our year-end movies. Nefarious was 11 for Ahsoka. I had higher hopes for it, but it underdelivered for her. But I didn't know it was a pure flex. All right, that would have been, legit bumped it to a 10. We're moving on
because when a bad company does well, it boosts it. Yeah,
I figure. You know what? New Line Cinema wasn't even created or didn't do anything, and then they put out a film about a guy with 3 knives on his hand. Kaboom! That's the way it goes. What is your number 3 film of the summer?
I already said it was Sound of Freedom.
Well, give us your take.
I am certainly not one for military movies, but there is something genuinely edgy in the way that that's supposed to mean about this movie, and it reminded me a lot of the 90s when we could actually stand against the grain, and you weren't the devil for doing it, unless of course you asked the religious people. It's a really intense movie. And the fact that it was basically crowdfunded, and the fact that it has the same kind of anti-establishment cachet as something like Joker did almost.
Yeah.
It does a lot. It does a lot for me, even though I am the last person under the sun to really enjoy military movies.
Okay. I thought this was, once again, very good film. I enjoyed it. It was my number 6. I thought they could have gone a little more Sicario. Are you going to back up and poop on my arm? You just pooped on my arm, didn't you? Anytime he does that, anytime it's like, you just took a dump on my shoulder, didn't you? I can't stay mad at you. I can't stay mad at you.
The hilarious thing is it's in the exact same place that he did it the last time.
Yeah, he's got a spot. But look at this face. I can't be mad at this face. Look at this face. So cute. Okay.
It's anyway. Like, oh, you're wearing the same shirt. So so clearly you're missing something.
Right.
Tag.
Oh, By the way, for most of my thumbnails now for this channel, I've started putting, yeah, you can see it right there, right, that little, but I've started putting him in the thumbnail. He is officially this channel's mascot. You were for a while, but you're fired. It's now the bird. Dominic is saying number 5 would have been The Haunted Mansion for him. It's actually a fun movie, but it wasn't given a chance due to people justifiably distancing themselves from modern Disney. I think it would have done better in Halloween. We were talking about that because it ended up being my number 10 film of the summer. It really is a fun movie.
I don't. Well, actually, no, I do know why. It's so they can release it for streaming in October, which leads me to the question, okay, if you want it to be a big hit on streaming, why didn't you release it on streaming and save yourself the box office embarrassment? But also, you could have easily released it in October and then had it had a short run, because it probably would have had a short run, because all the movies that come out in November and December would have eaten it, and then you could release it on.
I think they're trying to pump up their streaming too much. We've seen and we've heard how it has messed up box office numbers and how movies aren't making as much as they did. I was taken to town about my suggestion, but I still believe the best way to do it is to have that 6 months at least. And you let a movie have its run in theaters until it's out. Let us decide when the movies leave. And when they do, put them on DVD. Get that second run.
And then streaming. Like the old days.
After you've bled all of the money out of it, you put it on streaming, where how much a movie makes is kind of dubious at best, unless you're renting it out to other things. Now, my number 3 is kind of in the same vein as Sound of Freedom, where a whole bunch of military guys and cops and such go after and try to save a family. It was released on Netflix. You want to talk about a freaking franchise that needs to get on the big screen? This is Extraction 2 with Chris Hemsworth. He's a Chris, right? And I love that. The first Extraction made me tired. It was such a great action film. And by the end, he's punched, shot, done so much to him that I was like, oh God, just end the fucking movie, because I can't take it. I can't take that much more. And Extraction 2 is the same kind of thing, where it's just constant. When it gets started, it does not stop until the end of the movie. The problem is the action is a little more fantastic in this one. Mm-hmm. I don't really think it's a problem. It's my number 3 favorite film of the summer. It is just relentless, though. It's what we thought Die Hard was in the 1980s. Because Die Hard comes out and boom, 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 boom. When it gets going, it takes 5 minutes for a little rest in the bathroom, and then it's back to the action. Extraction 2 is very much like this. It goes hard, and then there's a little bit of a reprieve, and then it just goes hard until it ends. And it's on, like I said, it's on Netflix. Do yourself a favor, check that shit out. I think you're going to have a good time. My number 3 is Talk to Me, another horror film that should have been released during the fall season. Otherwise, it was legitimately good, as it had a good amount of horror, terror, and suspense.
Yeah, like I said, it's the adult version of the Ouija movies, basically.
Didn't it also release on the same day as Barbie and Oppenheimer? I know there's a horror film that did that, and it just got
I believe week before, although it might have been the week after. It was somewhere in there, but it was obviously in the shadow of the Barbenheimer monolith, and therefore
John Wick came out in the springtime as well. Both, by the way, before we got started, Dalton and I were talking, and we both admitted that we had to go look at the release dates just to make sure we weren't getting spring releases. On my list, and it would have been high up on my list, is a film that released in April. It's called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. It's about teenagers. It's about actually teenage girls blossoming, we shall say. It's a really good book by Judy Blume. I read it as a kid. I read all of Judy Blume's books, and this is the last one. And I read it, and I was like, Mom, what's this mean? What's the, and I always felt a connection to the story because of that, because I learned so much about girls talking to my mother and my aunt because I was reading this book. So, but it's the dialogue, the direction, the whole 9 yards, but that's April. That's not now. Now we're talking about the summer movies of 2023, and we've gone through 8 of them. I need to know what your number 2 film is, sir.
That would be Spider-Verse.
Please, now it's your turn to talk about
it. Honestly, both the Spider-Verse movies thus far have been some of the best Spider-Man movies, period. And it does go into the very inside baseball multiverse stuff. Like, you see all the, I guess we're calling them variants now. And the animation style, especially in the trippy multiverse scenes, are really, really good. There is a problem with this movie where they framed Miguel O'Hara as the bad guy. I'm still unconvinced that he was I'm not convinced yet that he was the bad guy, because what he was saying made sense. So there's that. Yet I will echo what you said and be like, this is half of a really good movie. Where's the other half, please? Which I will be getting whenever the gods of cinema decide to grace us with.
When the writer's strike is over, they'll get back to work. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Baghead Spider-Man is not a variant. It's Peter Parker. His costume got messed up, so he asked the Human Torch for a spare Fantastic Four costume, had to hide his face, so he wore a bag on his head. It's not a variant. In my opinion, that's the big problem with Across the Universe. Across the Spider-Verse, pardon me. Let's see. We get number 2. Tevye says they also liked Blue Beetles, tie for 3. We don't do ties here. Well, I've done, but that's a whole different breed of tie. Let's see. My number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, says Tevye. And you know what? My number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's going to be my number 1.
Okay, we'll get to it. And if you want to comment now, since it's that, but I went and saw this movie in the theater, and I was blown away by it. I saw it multiple times in the theater. I don't usually do that. This is a movie. They finally got a villain that matches Loki. I love the High Evolutionary as a villain. I can see them doing more things with High Evolutionary, and he did survive. By the way, at the end, when they're carrying out the animals, look who Drax is carrying. High Evolutionary is still out there, guys.
They're probably not going to revisit him now that James is gone, but
yeah. But I would kind of say to let the franchise die when they ended with the beginning of the next team. I think, if you have a story, tell the story. Don't do it just for money. It didn't feel like 3 hours. I enjoyed the world, the world that James Gunn has built for the Guardians, or the universe, I should say, is awesome. It's great to visit the lockdown thing. The space station of living tissue. Of course, we get Nathan Fillion in that scene. We've been wanting Nathan Fillion in the MCU forever. They put him as a guard. Like, wait, I thought you said Wonder Man. Let's go with Wonder Man, guys.
Yeah, make him Wonder Man already, please. Yeah. And make him Hal Jordan, not Guy Gardner, DC. Cough, cough. But hey.
I love the relationship, or the rebuilding of the relationship between Gamora and Star-Lord. There's not a missed beat here, including, by the way, spoilers, that Gamora and Star-Lord don't get back together. It's just the way it should be. It is the way it is. I thoroughly was entertained by this film. Absolutely loved it. So why don't you talk about your number 2 or your number 1 film of the year?
I I I think it's the weakest.
Actually, hold on. Wait a second. Don't do it just yet. Let me get number twos from everybody, and then before you talk about the number one, we'll go down our lists. My number one is Across the Spider-Verse, says Tevia, mostly because I one baby in comics could suck it because I wish my baby with Mayday Parker Spider-Girl existed in a movie. Okay. Let's see. MK saying that's another reason why I wasn't a fan. I like O'Hara as a character. Didn't like how they made him look as the villain, says MK. And number two is Extraction 2, says Dominic Powell, an example of proper sequel by telling a new story while elevating what came before in addition to fixing mistakes that were in the first film. Fantastic freaking movie. Fantastic movie. Now, before we get to our number one, sorry to jump the gun on you. Let's go down. We'll start with you. Go down your top 10.
If I can remember what order I put them in, I did it mentally. So okay. So number 10 was Barbie. Number 9 was my number 9? I think my number 9 was Blue Beetle. Then number 8 was 8 was Gran Turismo. 7 was Last Voyage of the Demeter. 6 was
Talk to Me.
Yeah, there we go. I couldn't remember if it was Talk to Me and then okay. But yeah. 6 was Talk to Me. 5 was the new TMNT, and yes, I know it has issues. 4 was Nefarious, best devil in years. 3 was Sound of Freedom. 2 was Spider-Verse, and number one is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I still maintain is the weakest of the 3 Guardians movies. But Guardians of the Galaxy is my favorite franchise within the MCU, and I can officially say that now that we've gotten a third one, and they didn't completely crap that at the last minute. I really love James Gunn's take on the Guardians. It's the most comic booky that the MCU has gotten so far. Wish that weren't the case, but it is the case so far. And it gives me the tiniest dying ember of hope that we might get something useful out of DC now that he's running it. That ember is dying of suffocation very, very quickly. But there's still his Suicide Squad 2 was also really good. So I have this tiny spark of hope left. I will say I thought were problems with it, particularly their treatment of Adam Warlock. But hopefully he improves in the future. I really did like the High Evolutionary and the whole thing of him basically being this sort of genetic social planner was really interesting, and they didn't nerf it quite as much as I thought they would have, because I thought for sure they were going to just make him a straight up social planner, and they didn't. So good. The end point of all the characters' arcs works. Rocket Raccoon, man, I tell you, he has had one of the darkest character arcs of any character in the MCU, low key, and it was satisfying seeing him rip the High Evolutionary a new one for sort of a let me repay my maker in kind for all that he has done sort of thing.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy is also served. I said this about Blue Beetle. This is a movie about the relationship between the characters. What happens in the movie is a lot of action and excitement. Sure, fine. But when you boil it down, it's a whole bunch of people going out to save somebody they love. And they, we had a Fast X film, so I'm going to say it anyway. It's about the family, the Guardian, and how the Guardians see each other as a family.
I prefer the Guardians of the Galaxy movies to the the Fast and Furious movies with regards to that whole family dynamic thing.
In this case, you've got not Gamora, Nebula, who's really trying to keep shit together. since Peter's down in the dumps because Gamora doesn't love him and doesn't even remember the relationship they had. You see this throughout the film, though. It's not just a beginning and a setup.
It stings the whole while through.
Yeah, and she takes on the matronly role throughout the entire thing. You see this almost patriarchal from Drax. He was a father. He lost his children, and he does that for others. Also, by the way, whoever really did think of teaming Drax up with Mantis, good job, you. Good job. Because there's not a smart character. There's not a thinker in that little dynamic there.
It's two unique varieties of clueless and stupid.
And it really works. So yeah, I got to give it to them. And this is such a great freaking film. Not the best film though, sir. Not the best film of the summer. I will tell, sir. Dun 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 dun. This the Mission Impossible film got destroyed by Tom Cruise. What? Oh my gosh, Englentine, what could you ever be talking about? I'll tell you. He knew that Barbie was coming out, and he knew that Oppenheimer was coming out, but he didn't think either one of those was going to be the hit the Mission Impossible was going to be. And why would he? Why would he? He just had the biggest freaking movie come out the year before in decades.
But it's not you, Tom. It's you. It's you in that role. It's not you, Tom. Sorry.
So it was. So he thought that he would be safe leaving that movie in where it was a week before Barbie and Oppenheimer came in, but there's conflicting contracts. And Tom Cruise was set to lose all of the 3D movie screens and all of the 4DX or whatever you call them that would have brought extra money to the movie.
All the prestige formats.
Yeah. There was even talk, well, should he move it to Christmas where he would probably rule the roost?
That was probably the smart decision.
Yeah, much like Haunted Mansion, somebody just made a wrong decision and it kind of fell. Now that's the business side.
That being said, I'm happy with that because I want Wonka to do insanely well. Because I mean, my God, that movie looks amazing.
The art of the movie is amazing. This franchise continues to elevate. Artistically, I mean, box office, I don't give and ultimately I don't care about box office because that does not mean shit to me. I've seen films that did poorly that were great. I've seen films that did great that were poor. This movie, on the other hand, he's going up against Skynet. So, let's get that out there. But it really does understand how to use the MacGuffin. It really is. This film is like a student of Hitchcock, where they know how to get your attention over here, so they can do the action over there, and when you see it again, it's like, oh yeah. What is that called? Not intrigue, but there's a word for that. Distraction.
Prestige.
Yeah, there you go. I don't want to give too much away because I know not a lot of people saw it, but the action is awesome. Tom Cruise knows this role left and right. He's the producer on it. He knows a good action scene. There's a chase scene. I'm sure you've seen the previews where they're in a freaking, not even a Mini Coupe. It looks like a toy. It looks like the cars the Muppets were driving in.
Smart car.
And yeah, it's just a freaking little tiny thing. And it's one of the fun and funniest scenes I've ever seen Tom Cruise do. It's exciting. I like the characters. I did think there's a death in the middle of it, and I thought that it was useless. I think they wrote a character out of character in order for that death to happen. Mm-hmm. But still, that wasn't a deal breaker for me. The Mission Impossible franchise is incredible. I've got them all on Blu-ray. Happy to own them. I'm going to own this one on Blu-ray because it is just that good. So far, Mission Impossible is not only the best film of the summer. It's the best film of the year, hands down to me. Love this movie. Absolutely enjoyed it. Let's get everybody's comments here and then do our thing. Let's see. Number 2 is extra. We got that. Tevye, I guess, is counting down. Said number 10 is Transformers: Rise of the Beast. That was my number 17 of the top 20. James Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy is a great send-off. Yeah, it really is. I agree with Dalton on Warlock. High Evolutionary is a great villain. Yep. The dancing like a monkey scene had me rolling, and his "you're weak" not in a bad way. Oh, okay. I got it. Yeah, the Drax scenes. But anyway, there you go. One more time down the list, because I didn't read mine. My number 10 was Haunted Mansion, a family film that has just enough scares to keep the kids on their toes. Blue Beetle, a fun family film that has a superhero in it. Blackberry, the film about the creation and the collapse of the old message phones. Let's see, Asteroid City, a movie about a play that's filmed like a movie. And then Sound of Freedom, of course, we all know it's about child trafficking. Oppenheimer, not about the nuclear bomb, about the guy who made the nuclear bomb. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, well, we all know what that's about. Extraction 3, basically, it's another film where they're saving a kid. Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy and Mission Impossible that rounds out my top 10 list. Dominic is saying number 10, Spider-Man. Number 9, The Meg. Oh, we'll talk about that when we do the worst list, sir.
Oh, the badness. The badness of The Meg too. It didn't have to be. It didn't have to be. It could have been. It could have been a contender, but it wasn't.
It could have been a contender. Instead, it's just a bum. Like it is right here. All right. Let's see. Number 8, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Number 7, Asteroid City. By the way, my number 7 is Asteroid City. Let's see. Number 6 is The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Gosh, I can't wait to see that movie. Number 5, Haunted Mansion. Number 4, Oppenheimer. Number 3, Talk to Me, says Dominic. All righty. But there you go, guys. Did you include number 2? Number 2 is Extraction, and Dominic's number 1 is Lost to History, I guess. Whenever you're available, and I would hope it's within the next couple of days. Tomorrow we're doing our auction here on the channel. Be here at 8 o'clock Eastern time. But if you've got some time on Sunday, so long as I'm not driving Elizabeth to work, I say let's get this. Let's get the other side. Let's talk about the films.
Yeah, worst list I think will be much easier, because I don't know if you guys could tell by my top 10, but I reached for a top 10.
I had no problem. I actually had a top 20 with Barbie at number 20, Little Mermaid at number 19, number 18 was No Hard Feelings, 17 Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Wait, I didn't put down for 16. 15 Fast X, Maggie Moore's, number 14. It's a small film about a murder, Cobweb, a horror film that I did get to see. And 12 is Flash, and 11 is Indiana Jones, which I enjoyed. I actually enjoyed that movie. Dominic saying, hey, I'll be available for Sunday. Cool. By all means. There you go, gang. That's our list. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your top 10s are. And if you think we're full of crap and so forth, in the comments below. And don't forget to do all the clickings, likings, and more importantly, please share. Please share this video out to get more eyeballs on the channel. Certainly appreciate everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of our fellow films out there. Thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night.